Thank you for tuning in. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. This is your one-stop guide to property investments in the country. Thank you so much, first of all of the feedback and the questions you sent in on our special on Vijayawada and Vizag. We're going to try and answer as many emails as possible on this show. My email ID is at the bottom of your screen. If you have any question for me about buying a house, a legal matter, even a tax detail about buying a house, write to us. It'll be our pleasure to answer your questions on this show. You can also reach me personally on Twitter. Over the next half hour, we focus on the Delhi NCR region. We'll find out why there's a drop in sales and what this means for you as a buyer. We'll answer questions about Mumbai, Bangalore and Ahmedabad. Joining us in our studios this week, Shubham Jain, the Vice President of ICRA, joins us from Delhi. Shubham, thank you for joining us. Arvind Nandan is an independent analyst who joins me in the studio in Mumbai. The report suggests that home sales have dropped 37% in the Delhi NCR region, down to 28,500 units in the first 6 months of this year. The slowdown has led to a drop of 2% in prices of homes in Delhi NCR compared to last year. In fact, in some locations like Sheikh Sarai and Defence Colony, prices have come down between 18 and 20% respectively. What does this mean for you as a buyer? Now, before we talk about if this is an extended slag in Delhi, what this means for you as an investor, I'm going to bring in Shubham first. Shubham, we're looking at a report that ICRA just released about golf course extension, New Gurgaon. They have remained most active, but also we're seeing a large amount of unsold inventory. Tell us what it's like on the ground right now.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of unsold inventory, which is mainly because of various reasons. First is like there has been a lot of supply which has increased over the last few years. In spite of slowing demand, builders have really not cut down on the supply, which has resulted in a mismatch of supply and demand. And then buyers also have that uncertainty on the job and the economic uncertainty, because of which they have deferred their buying decision. And also secondly, because of the significant steep appreciation in the prices which one has seen in the pre-slowdown era, that has really made buying real estate unaffordable. Because of all these reasons, there have been significant demand slowdown, and we have seen built up of inventory. And today the overhang of inventory is around 50 odd months, which is quite a bit if we compare to the past trend of 36 to 40 months.
Well, Shubham, tell me this, there's obviously been a slowdown in terms of new launches as well. Is that the strategy that builders are adopting in the NCR region right now? Stall launches, try and sell what they've already launched, try and finish the projects that they've already started?
Quite right. I think that is what developers are responding with, though it's a bit late, I would say. But now they are trying to control the supply in the market, and the current focus is on basically consolidating the market and liquidating the inventory which they have. Also, completion of the existing projects where the cash flows are much more certain from the booked area they have already done. So that is the current focus, and on the completion of projects and holding back the supply.
All right, Arvind, I want to bring you in here. Let's talk about two main regions. I want to first talk about Dwarka Expressway, which we've talked about in the past. We saw Dwarka Expressway being tied up in a lot of problems. There were launches, there was a lot of construction. Nothing was actually completing on time. There were no handovers, and there was a lack of social infrastructure. Do you see all of those problems now changing in that area? Will Dwarka Expressway now pick up? Is there any reason to believe that?
If you look at Dwarka Expressway specifically, I mean, it's a micro market, within NCR. Yes, there are problems, and I do see that these problems will persist for a while. However, if you if you want to look at it from a longer term or from a pragmatic perspective, I do not think the problems will go on and on for a very long while. There is a definite market slowdown, like Shubham is saying, like you pointed out, and that impacts Dwarka as well, Dwarka Expressway as well, which means that the projects will be slow. There is an inventory overhang in the whole of NCR to the extent of about 30 months of supply. So that affects Dwarka Expressway as well. It will take time. They've done a hotel there which is doing pretty okay. The residential, whatever is there, is doing okay.
So let me just let me make my question a little clearer to you. We've obviously had people who are watching right now who have bought property in the NCR. A lot of the property that was bought as an investment were bought in areas like Yamuna Expressway, Dwarka Expressway, portions of Gurgaon. Are they looking at an extended slowdown now? Is it going to be another year at least before they hope to see any progress on their investments?
My definite belief is there will be no rise in prices. The prices will remain flat for about a year from here. They may even go down a bit, like we are seeing here, 2% or so, which is practically negligible. It's nothing. But the chances are that the prices will not go up for about a year or so from here. The prices will remain flat. There is a huge amount of inventory overhang, like I'm saying, about 24 to 30 months of inventory overhang. And the developers are facing cash crunch. So they are delaying projects, like Shubham was saying again. So put all this together, whether it's Yamuna Expressway, whether it's Dwarka, whether it's something else, things are actually moving in a very similar manner. They all are going to remain slow. I do not see a crash, however, to clarify, but I definitely do not see a rise or a jump taking place anywhere in the next 12 to 14 months.
Do you recommend any fresh investment being made in the Delhi NCR region right now, or would you say hold off until we see things start to look a little better?
I have a slightly different opinion there. I believe if you are a long-term investor, if you are somebody who will stay put, never hold back. If the prices are flat, it's even better for you to enter. The only thing is you have to choose your locations very carefully. You have to choose your property further very carefully. It does not mean that if the market is flat, all the properties are equal. There are properties which behave differently. There are micro locations which behave differently. But if you want to enter and if you want to take a punt on the future, it's not a bad time. You can still do that.
All right. Shubham, come in here. Tell us this. If you've just done a study of that entire market, Arvind is telling us that there are pockets, there are micro markets that behave differently. If I was an investor looking to put some money in the NCR region right now, considering prices are slightly soft, A, do you recommend that? And if you do, what sort of locations should we be looking at?
I think one location which I'm really bullish about is Sona Extension Road. After getting included in Gurgaon's master plan of 2031, Sona Extension has seen a lot of activity in terms of big developers moving in there, likes of Pioneer, Parsavnath, IREO, etc. So, and in terms of location also, it has an advantage of being quite close to the mature market like Sona Road and Golf Course Extension Road, and the price is quite low as compared to these markets. And this, I think, is one micro market which is expected to do well on the back of the improved connectivity and also a lot of commercial activity getting started in this micro market. Another market which remains in terms of a low ticket size is Yamuna Expressway, which I believe is a good market for an entry level investor where the ticket size is quite low. And here also the connectivity is quite good with other parts of Uttar Pradesh like Kanpur, Agra, etc. And it also derives a lot of demand from NCR region. So that is another market because of its low current prices, which should see good appreciation in terms of percentage over the long-term horizon.
You were nodding, Arvind, when he said Sona Extension. Do you agree with that as well?
I wanted to add two things actually to what he said. Sona Extension, definitely, I would say that. I would actually take it further. I'll take it up to Bhiwadi or Daruheda or even further if you like. Those are the places where you can definitely enter as an investor and wait on your investments. They will not turn into gold immediately, but they'll definitely bear fruit. The other thing is I see Yamuna Expressway as something which is sort of equal to what Noida was in late 70s. Yamuna Expressway hasn't blossomed the way it was thought to do. There was an airport and there were so many other things, which were being thought of. They haven't happened, and God knows when they will happen. But still, it is a place which is not moving, which is more or less stagnant. It's not a bad idea to get in there and again wait for a long while. So in summary, if you look at the whole NCR market, if you are a long-term investor, you may want to get in there. If you are a short-term investor or a trader in property, better to stay away.
All right, if you're a long-term investor, get in. There's another thing that has changed the landscape, quite literally, of the NCR market of late, and that's the land pooling rules that have come in. Shubham, for the benefit of our viewers who don't understand what land pooling will mean for that market, could you take us through it? What will change once this whole thing plays out?
See, as per land pooling, earlier smaller developers were not getting the clearances for their project because there is some minimum area which DDA and the authorities require to be developed. So now, as per the Land Pooling Act, now the various developers can pool their land together, which are quite fragmented, and get a unified license for them and basically develop the land. So we expect that will result in a release of a lot of supply over the medium to long term and will benefit the end users and the investors both.
All right, so that's land pooling, remember, and we talked about the fact that it does make sense to get into the Delhi NCR region right now if you're a long-term investor. Arun, very quick word of advice. One of the problems that we've seen the region and the market suffer from are delays in delivery, and this is not limited to the smaller developers. It's across the board, across all of the NCR. If you tell me now as a long-term investor, now is a good time to get in, how do I make sure that I'm getting into a project that won't be stalled, that won't take 8 years or 9 years to finish?
Sure, I think that's a great question, and there are three other aspects, Faye. Of course, projects are getting delayed. They're badly delayed, in fact. There are two other things that you must remember. Occupancies are weak in the projects that are already done and delivered. And there is a third angle that although the sales have dropped, the new launches have still happened till very late. Like Shubham was saying, it's already late by the time the developers realize. When you have to choose a project, you definitely need to go by the fundamentals. The fundamentals mean you need to choose a developer who has a track record. I think that's non-negotiable. You have to look at a developer that has a track record, who has a track record of delivering on time and who's on a sound footing as on date. There are certain developers who have had a great track record but are now in a very bad situation. So you need to choose your developers very carefully. The second thing is choose your location even more carefully. Even a great developer in a wrong location which doesn't have an infrastructure feed or social infrastructure, etc., cannot deliver a great quality product. So choose your brand carefully, choose your location carefully, and look at where the future infrastructure is being laid, where there is evidence. Don't go by what is on paper. So wherever you have these 2-3 things put together, you can still take a call of a futuristic investment. Like I'm saying again and again, don't look at something in the next 1 year or so.
Okay, nothing in Delhi is going to turn to gold in the next 1 year. That's Arvind's verdict. All right, let's answer a few questions you sent in during the week. Soman Pal has written in, he wants to buy a 2.5 or a 3-bedroom apartment in Gurgaon with a budget of 60 to 75 lakh rupees for end use, which means that he's going to live in it. Also, he wants it to be a smart investment. He's interested in Sector 69. Please give me a few projects. That's his question. Shubham, do you want to take that question? Would he be able to find anything in that region in the budget that he's looking at?
I think he's on the right track of making the right investment and buying decision for himself. There is a proposed metro station very close to Sector 69 and 70 of Gurgaon. However, it is still in proposal state, so it is to anybody's guess when actually that work will start and get completed. However, because of that anticipation, their prices have already appreciated a bit. So he may have to extend his budget a bit to get a dream house near that metro location. So one project which I could think of is Unitex Sunbreeze in Sector 69, where he may be able to get a 1300 square feet unit for around 70 lakhs of BSP. If he is ready to move around that area a bit, in Sector 68 there are few new launches from developers like Supertech and Parina, which will definitely fit into his budget.
Well, Arvind, if he's a little nervous right now about buying from builders who, let's accept have some problems on their hands already, what is the likelihood he'll find something either completed or close to completion in that budget in Gurgaon?
It's not so easy. It's difficult to find a completed property, and that too within the budget that the gentleman specifies. But like he was also saying, it's possible to find some properties in the vicinity, if not exactly in Sector 69. I mean, even I thought Sector 55, 58, Sector 62 could throw up some options. There is Ansals, there is certain other south cities there. So you can actually look at certain things, but you will have to have a magnifying glass in your hand. Look at them very carefully. It's not so easy to get, like you're saying.
All right, it's time for us to take a very quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about Mumbai, Ahmedabad, and of course, Bangalore. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching The Property Guide on ET now. Both of our guests are still with us, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, for those of you who just tuned in, this is a show where we answer questions you send in on buying property. Pramod wrote in to us. He wants to buy a 1-bedroom apartment as an investment with a budget of 35 lakh rupees in Mumbai. Now, he's identified the My Desire project by the Runwal Group in Dombivli East. He's also looked at the Godrej Hills project in Kalyan West. He wants to know which would give him better returns over a 5 to 6 year horizon. And this is the brilliant part about investing in Mumbai. People are only looking at a 5 to 6 year horizon. If you had to choose between the two, purely as an investment, which one would you choose?
Again, a great question, I believe. I believe there are two parts in the question. One, you have to choose the right location first, and then you have to look at the project. Let's deal with the second part. That's the easier one. Runwal versus Godrej. Both the developers are quite well known. They have a very good track record in doing things. So I don't think you have much to gain or lose by choosing either or. But where you have to take a critical call is whether you want to be in Dombivli East or Kalyan West. Now both are actually upcoming locations. Kalyan, of course, has been better known for a longer while. It has been more prominent, but so is Dombivli. Price-wise, Kalyan is marginally higher because of its earlier prominence and being a more vibrant market. I would like to go for Kalyan if I were to just look at whichever market has a better preeminence today. But you could take an entirely different call, saying Dombivli is coming up. It gives you that delta of advantage in pricing, a few hundred rupees of pricing advantage. So you could choose either. If I were the investor, if I were in his place, I would still like to go for Kalyan, which is slightly better established, slightly ahead on the curve, and therefore a little more safe. But choose it carefully based on all these parameters.
Shubham, interestingly at ICRA, you've been working on a rating for every market. When you look at Mumbai as a market right now and you're trying to choose between Dombivli and Kalyan, do you also agree that Kalyan is the best bet?
Yeah, definitely. As Arvind has mentioned, Kalyan is at more advanced stage in terms of development and development of the social infrastructure there because of its earlier prominence. So definitely Kalyan stands ahead of Dombivli. But at the same time, Dombivli is also seeing a lot of large-scale developments from the developers like Dosti, Lodha and Rundwal itself. So I think in the time to come, it will also catch up with Kalyan. And it is quite close to Khane, which is getting established as ITES hub. So a lot of, I think, employment opportunities will also get generated in nearby. So Dombivli will be a good residential hub for all those people who are working there. So I think not much to choose, as Arvind has mentioned, but definitely developers are, both of them are good, and Kalyan is a bit ahead of Dombivli in terms of development currently.
Promote Kalyan might be a better option in terms of a location, but really if you're buying a home, it also depends on the specifications that each developer is offering. You go there, take a look, of course visit the location many times to see what it's like at daytime, at nighttime, what traffic is like in that area, and then make your choice. And if you have any more questions, it'll be our pleasure to help you. Smith has written in, he bought a 2-bedroom apartment in Meadows Shantigram by Adani in Ahmedabad at the rate of 2,650 rupees a square foot. He wants to now exit that market. He tells us if he were to exit at this point, he's only getting about 2,900 or 3,000 rupees a square foot. But he's worried that the builder is getting 3,500 rupees a square foot for the same property. He wants to know what he should do and what the future of the property is. And this is the interesting question. Why is the builder making, able to make more money than him? Because normally when someone makes an investment in real estate, they assume they'll be able to offload that particular property at the going rate, which is not always the case, is it?
No, I think this is the crux of real estate investment decision making. Let me speak of Shantigram and then we can probably come to the principle. Shantigram has been planned for almost 8-9 years now and has started to come off the ground. It's a massive township, 600 plus acres with a lot of things. Some of the projects have been delivered. The problem is when you invest in a project like this, you have to have a horizon of 15 odd years or so, because these will not fructify. Your investments will not start to bear fruit before that time horizon. If you were to invest in a standalone project which is already connected very well and has got all the basic amenities in place, then you see the price rise and then you get the jump. The investor here, Smith, in fact, has made a good decision to invest in a project which is futuristic, but you're probably evaluating it at the wrong point in time. You're probably not going to get it. And there are external factors like the economic slowdown and various pressures of the market, which further add to the agony that is there. But the principle is this kind of a project will not start to bear its returns or its fruits before a reasonable time of 8, 9, 10 years. So if you are to look at it today, look at divesting it today, you will probably be getting lower than what the builder is doing, because the builder is actually doing it with a different perspective than what you are. So look at the project's life cycle. It's the cycle during which time it will come to its peak. It's not yet touched its peak. It's nowhere there.
All right. Shubham, tell me this, if he was going to hold on to this property, how long do you think he's going to hold on to it for? What sort of returns would he be able to expect from this particular project in about, say, 10 years if he were to take Arvind's advice and hold on for 10 years?
Oh, I would agree with Arvind because it's a very, very large-scale township being done for this project. So, and it is at a quite a fair distance from the city center also. So, this project is a long gestation project. So, it will take time to reap in the benefits. At the same time, I think that generally a project gives a good appreciation kicker once the possession is offered. So, if this investor doesn't have any alternate better investment plan, where he thinks that he will be getting better returns, then I would advise him to stay put here at least till the time possession is offered.
All right, let's take another question. Bipin has written in, he wants to buy a 2-bedroom flat in ITPL in Bangalore with a budget of 50 lakh rupees as an investment. What sort of expected return can I expect over the next 5 years? Shubham, you've done some studies for him. What can he expect as, a return in ITPL in Whitefield, Bangalore?
In Whitefield, there are many ITS companies which are located. So there's a very good demand from the independent families for rented accommodation. So as per our study, the average rental for a 2 BHK in Whitefield hovers in the range of 15,000 to 20,000 depending on the specification of the property, the builder, the amenities which are there in that apartment. So considering this 15,000 to 20,000, the annual rental comes to around 1.8 to 2.5 lakhs. So if one invests around 50 lakhs, then one is talking about annual yield of 3.5 to 5%. So which is quite good if one compares it with the overall average in India, which hovers in the range of 2.5 to 3%. So I must say that Bangalore is one of the best market in terms of rental yields. That is mainly because of very robust end user demand.
And within Bangalore, Arvind, is ITPL Whitefield the best option for him? Or do you think at that budget he'd be able to get better?
I think it's one of the better options. Okay. It's definitely one of the better options. And like Shubham is saying, it's a great market for rental yields. There is an underlying principle there again. The capital values may or may not reflect the end user demand, but rental values certainly do. So if you want to gauge the demand in the market, definitely look at the rental yields because they tell you where the market is moving. ITPL Whitefield area is the area where there is a very good amount of demand year on year. The supply overhang, very fortunately, is just about 6 odd months or so. Yes. So it's not going to break the back of the market. It's a very good market. I would say it may not jump by 30-35% like it used to in the past, but it's still good to go at about 20-odd% in the next 2-3 years. So definitely a great market.
So if NASSCOM is assuming a 15-20% growth in the IT sector, then that's what you can expect in terms of...
Yeah, you could link that.
Yeah, all right. Let's take one last question before we wrap up the show. Krishna has written in, he wants to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in and around Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh with a budget of 35 lakh rupees. What is the best area for investment? We talked about Vijayawada last week when we talked about the fact that it does make sense for you to look at established neighborhoods, to look at near completion or almost complete homes so you can rent them out. That would be the best investment strategy. But Shubham, tell me this, given the fact that Vijayawada has run up this much in the last couple of months, A, can he find something in that budget? B, even if he does, what sort of an upside can he expect from where it is right now?
I think yes, Vijayawada has run up a bit lately after earlier basically on the rumors and later on the confirmation that it is going to be the capital of Andhra Pradesh. So still there is some room of appreciation. So I would suggest that maybe the area surrounding Ring Road which connects Vijayawada to Eluru and Bandar, these are the area where a lot of development is happening. So he may choose some project there. Or also the areas near Gannavaram are where there are many projects which are getting developed. So there also, I think in 35 lakh budget, he will be able to find something good.
All right, and if you have any more questions about buying property in Vijayawada, feel free to write to us. Arvind and Shubham, thank you so much for spending time with us this weekend and answering all of our questions. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can reach me on Twitter, send me feedback about the show. It'll be my pleasure to hear from you. Tune in next week to catch the show.